Seems like we've got a reasonable sized crowd already. So, nice to see you all. I see lots of familiar faces, a few faces I haven't seen for a little while, so it's always good to see more. So, I'm going to do next stuff first, and then I'll get to Raul. So, in the coming months, Brent is going to be giving us a presentation next week on doing...
Next month?
Next month. Sorry. Very surprised to learn that he was presenting next week. Next month, Brent will be presenting about doing audio processing and various audio things with free software. He says he's going to expand the description for anybody who wants to pass it around. Seems like it might act like this could be a topic which is general. So if you have anybody who's like looking to do podcasts or video,
Anybody into recording or audio processing, recording podcast?
Recording podcasts, internet broadcasting, telephony, and a couple other things I'm going to do in the first half. And the second half is basically going to be the recording from a musician's perspective. So anybody who wants to use free software to record audio, there'll be lots of cool stuff.
which actually makes me think if anybody knows people in the music community around here. Glass of wine. I don't, so I couldn't do that. And then after that in December, Bob is going to be presenting on GNU Social, so that's distributed social networking kind of stuff. I know he's been involved in that for quite a while, but we've gone through various different systems, so I think he'll probably have lots of good and interesting things to say. I guess, again, that also would probably make a fairly good general topic if you feel like you want to invite your friends and other interested parties who wouldn't usually come to one of these things. All right, does anybody else have anything they want to announce? Any events coming up that you want mentioned?
So I remember many moons ago we were fixing up laptops at Computer Recycling. Is anybody interested in starting that up again? I've been reluctant, so we got two, three, maybe. Okay, so I don't know that it will happen this month. Maybe next month we'll start it again on the first Saturday after KWL. If there are other times, like if people are like, oh, Saturdays are my sacred day, I can't come on Saturdays, let's do some other day, you can send me an email and then we can arrange something else, because there's nothing that's really binding us to Saturdays other than it's convenient for me.
Cool, thank you, Paul. All right, so Raul, which you may remember, he might look slightly familiar to one or two of you.
A little older.
A little older, yeah. A long-time member, veteran presenter, is going to be giving us a rundown on his, I guess, current state of the art for what he's doing for file synchronization. So, a perennial problem when you pass around files. How do you keep them in lots of places? So, without further ado, Rob.
Yeah, and given that I'm going to be mostly on the computer, I am going to be sitting. One of the nice things about offering to give a presentation is that you get to learn a lot of things that you didn't know. You start thinking, I'm going to talk about this, and then you start doing the research, you start investigating, and then you start pulling the thread. And the difficult part is knowing when to stop. When to say, okay, I think that I have enough material, and can look at whatever they're interested in more detail. And for those of you that have been in my previous presentation, I think that most everybody, I tend to be on the user space, not on the administrative space, and you will see that the presentation is slanted that way. And that's mostly because even though I work with computers, I use Linux from the personal perspective. I use it at home and I want to do things for me and for things at home. So yeah, I learned a lot. This all started for me because I have, as most of us do, multiple devices, multiple computers, multiple mobile devices, And I wanted to ensure that I could keep synchronized, that I didn't have to be at a particular place to do something. My desktop is more powerful than everything else, so when I'm at home, I prefer to be at the desktop. I don't like to carry a heavy laptop. And by the way, they're more expensive. So I like to do my normal work on the desktop. I feel more comfortable at the desktop than sitting in a couch or on the bed. But when I'm not at home, I carry a very small computer or a phone or a tablet, and sometimes I want to work, or usually I want to work exactly on the same files that I was working at home. For example, while doing this presentation, I was investigating, researching, taking my notes, but then I went away and I wanted to continue doing that. So the problem that I saw, and not only that, a lot of those things would work for me as a backup. So if I am working on something, I want to have it synchronized somewhere else in case of one hard drive going kaput, have it in another device. And it's not that it hasn't happened that I'm working on something and I'm ready for the presentation and then something happens to the computer and now I don't have anything to present. So my needs were very simple. The ability to work on multiple computers, regardless of which computer it was, the ability to work offline, that was very important. You will see when I talk about the options that I looked at. Normally when I'm carrying the laptop, it's because I want to go to a cafe or I am on the backyard or something and I just want to work on something. I don't want to be constantly connected. And also control when to sync. I don't want things to be always on for me. I want that fine control of what do I sync, when do I sync, if I have a difference in files, which one takes precedence, or if none of them have precedence and they need human interaction, I like to do that. So as you will see, the options that I looked are slanted that way. However, when I started going to this presentation, this is how it started. These were the initial thoughts when I was preparing this presentation. As I got in a little bit more and started seeing how I actually work with my files, I realized that I synchronize my life or I synchronize my files in more than one way. I realized that many times I synchronize with myself and synchronize with someone else. For example, I keep, for expenses, I keep with my kids a spreadsheet that they update and I know how much I owe them, they know how much they owe me, and we are in sync. In some other cases, I had to share things with a lawyer, or with other people, and that was a different kind of synchronization. Still things had to be synchronized, and I still do it. And finally, the little notes, little thoughts that I have that I have an idea for a presentation, or I have an idea for a blog, or I am taking something for work and I want to jot it down, or the shopping list, right? That I want to be able to do it here and then go somewhere else and still have it with me. So I saw that I had more than one need. So it started with one need. Once that I started thinking about that, I realized that, oh, actually I'm doing this in more than one way, and that's how this thought evolved. So, what are the things that I have tried when looking at this synchronization? The first thing that I looked at, I was very excited at some point a few years back when I got a new router. That new router was an Asus router that had this amazing AI cloud interface. It sounded amazing until I discovered that it had a flaw. It was a really bad flaw. You could get pwned fairly easy. So, but that was the first thing that I looked at. So, the nice thing about this is that if you have a router that has this capability where you plug in hard drive, you can use it as a file server. It's there. You don't need to be a Linux or Unix administrator to do it. Fairly simple to do. The bottom side or the downside is that given that you are not a Linux administrator or a system administrator, you don't really know how to secure these things, and you have to trust that whoever set it up correctly. And finally, normally when we install something on a server or on a computer, we get reminders of what things to be updated when there's patches. In a router, that doesn't happen. Unless you know what you're doing and you log into the interface and do it, then it's not going to work. You work with the defaults that someone gave you, and if it has a vulnerability, you're going to live with that vulnerability until someone tells you, hey, are you crazy? Are you using that? In fact, when I put this router closed storage, I only had one bullet that says, don't. But I realized that things are getting better, and that I also have at home DWRT on a router. I haven't got into Tomato. Those are other alternatives for using your router. However, as I said, from the user space, I don't want to get into the habit of administering things and ensuring that things are locked, patched, etc. for those things that should be transparent to me. It's a very good option for those that like to do it. The second obvious one that I looked at was cloud storage services. Is, well, I don't want to do it myself, but other people are already doing it for me. They set up the cloud servers, and I hope that they know what they're doing. And that, I think, is part of the problem. That you think, before I go to examples, I think that I will go to the process. You know that it's always available. Someone else is taking care of the servers to maintaining the platform, ensuring that it's secure. Most of them allow versioning. Most of them, all of them are off-premise, so if there's a fire in my house, I'm not losing my files. And they are usually, or they tend to be cross-platform, so I can access it from my Windows computers, from my Linux computers, from my Android, and I will be able, because for work I used to have a BlackBerry, now I have an iPhone, now I will be able to synchronize also with that if I need. But the problem with that is, one, privacy. Even though they say that they secure your things, it's not always, you have to trust them because you don't know what they're doing. And security, when you see everything that's happening with security breaches, I remember at a conference where people from the FBI were, it was a long time ago, probably 2000, they were giving a talk on cybersecurity. And they said, there's two kinds of companies. Those that have been hacked and know it, and those that don't know it. So, from the FBI perspective, there were those two kinds. So the likelihood that data may be leaked or may be compromised is there. You don't have control over that. You don't have control over your data. If business or if an application or if a service decides to go out of business, then you're on your own to recover all that, and it's not always that easy. And in certain cases, for example for work, there's data residency compliance issues where you have some clients, if you're not using it just personally, but for clients that they don't want their data to be somewhere else, well, then you have to ensure that you use a cloud that has a data center here, that they don't share information elsewhere. And even more important, now we know that in the States, if you have an American company, even if the data is stored somewhere else, they can still request it. the government can still request the data even if it's stored somewhere else because it's an American company. So it really depends on how much you really want your keep your information private, secure, and have full control of that. So some of the examples of these kind of files that I'm talking about is Dropbox and OneDrive from Microsoft, Google Drive from Google, but there are many others. I didn't list them all, I just listed some. And depending on what you want and what you need, you will choose them. Dropbox seems to be the most common. It has clients for every single platform that I know, or that end users use. It doesn't give you too much space, but you can buy more space. It's not that expensive if that is important to you. There's proper security on the communication. And I have a Dropbox because if I have a Yahoo email address. If I want to email something that's very big, Yahoo says, okay, put it in Dropbox. Like, okay, so I have to create a Dropbox. I tried to do it different ways until I said, okay, no, I have to create that. OneDrive is a Microsoft one. It doesn't have a Linux client, but it has a web interface. But we laugh about that when we go to Google Drive. Google Drive doesn't have a Linux client either. And they're not planning to create one anytime soon, which is extremely strange given that they are leveraging a lot of open source. So OneDrive is a Microsoft, and you can do certain things that are nice on Windows 10, but yeah, for Linux, it doesn't work that well. You have to actually drag and drop using the web interface. Most of what I do it using Google Drive, and that is for two reasons. One is the one that comes by default on my phone. That is, I also use Google Docs for, remember that I said that sometimes I share documents with other people. I prefer doing it in Google Docs. I like the interface, I like what I do. I don't like that probably someone else is reading the content and knows things about me. So I tend not to upload their too sensitive information. There's an unofficial Linux synchronizer that works so I didn't install it because it works so. And you get a lot of space. And given that, again, my phone automatically synchronized with that, that is the one that I use the most. However, without an official Linux client, you depend on the web user interface to upload files. However, if you are on your Android phone, it has a client. If you have an iPhone or anything else, it has the proper clients. There are other services that, again, when I said, by the way, why am I using Google Drive? What else is there? I started searching, and I was surprised about the amount of services, or the quantity of services that are out there. And some are very good, like this Mega, I haven't used it, that has clients for every platform. From the get-go, you get 50 gigabytes free. And I think that I was too excited about those because I put it twice. And the encryption is under user control. You keep the key. You keep your private key. You don't share your private key with them. You only share the public key with them, which makes it way nicer because you know that even if it's hosted, even if they have your data, nobody can see it if they don't have your private key. And like that, there's other combinations that give you more space, more security, localization, or particular residence, if it's in Canada or somewhere else in the world that you want your data to be. There's services that can offer all those different variations. If we go here, will see that when I was searching for this, and I don't know what's going, I should have wired connection.
I do have a wire.
Let me turn on wireless to see if I have still have a network. Yeah, it seems that I have a wired connection. I'm connected to the white. Yeah, it has lights. But I still don't have internet. Well, no, I don't have internet connectivity. It's going to be interesting, but I most of what I set up, if not everything, actually no, I want to show some things online.
I can share it.
I think that I have too, but does anybody else have internet connectivity? Is that the router? Because I was in wireless and in wired.
Very good signal. We get signal.
No, I see signal, but I.
Yeah,
Okay.
it seemed to be okay.
So I will go to the examples later.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I'm not getting data. I'm just getting signal.
We'll do the Microsoft solution.
Let's see.
Hey, I got a full.
No, now it's disconnected.
Oh, no. There it is. It's disappeared. Now again, there it is.
There it is.
I got it. I'm in. Okay. Yeah.
Monroe?
Yeah, let me see if I have. No, it still doesn't want to go anywhere. Okay, so I will go back. And if not, it's going to be a shorter talk. And then we can talk about something else. So, when I saw the pitfalls, I started investigating a little bit more the open source cloud servers. I was very excited when Bob presented the own cloud here at KW-Log, and I was going to install it, but then I thought about it. Now I have another server that I have to maintain to support, as if I don't have enough things to do. The security, it all depends on me, and most important, the performance or accessing my server depends on my network connectivity, and right now I don't have a symmetric connection at home, so it is just like 0.5 up, which means that if I'm out downloading something from my internal network, now it's not going to be too effective. But it's open source. I have all the control. I have all the capacity. So 50 gigs, I could have a terabyte, 2 terabytes, whatever I want because it's on my servers. And I saw that besides on cloud, there were other alternatives for that. There's another. Actually, let me copy this one because this also belongs there. Okay, so there are several. The nice thing about OnCloud is that it is a true cloud. Bob Jonkman gave that presentation. Hopefully you were there. And if you weren't there, I hope that he gives another presentation sometime in the future. If not, just go and investigate. If you really want to have full control, if you want to administer you feel comfortable administering your server. First, it's truly cross-platform. It has the clients for every single device that you could have. It has functionality that goes way beyond just sharing files. It is actually a full cloud where you share interactive editing of documents. You can, of course, share files, create photo galleries. You can coordinate calendars with other people. You can synchronize with other cloud servers. And you can integrate with some of the other services to cloud services for interchange of information. It is actually, when you see the list of features that it has, it is amazing. And the nice thing is that, again, given that you're controlling it, you have the full control of what security mechanisms to implement. You can implement security at the transport level if you use SSL or TSL, and you can also implement security at rest, which means that everything that you have on your network, on your hard drives, will be encrypted. So it has the best of both worlds. It's a cloud, it's always accessible. It still depends on the asymmetry of the connectivity or on your bandwidth. However, you can combine on cloud with cloud services with proper encryption. You still administer everything that is related to on cloud. You still control it, but someone else is in charge of the network connectivity and the hardware and the disaster recovery. You still have it outside of your premises. So from my perspective, that to me is the best of both worlds. You still have to do the administration, and you still have to get a little bit into it. And as I said, this talk is mostly at on the user space. Actually, let me go here. Let me see if I have network connectivity now. Does everybody else have internet?
It's been intermittent. Comes and goes. I did have to disconnect and reconnect before it worked online.
Yeah, right now I'm wired, and
It's just coming and going.
it says that it's connected.
You know, your network card is going crazy, eh? Going flashy, flashy, flash.
Oh, now it's there. Great. And it feels so odd for me to speak when I'm sitting, and maybe that's why I sound a little bit more subdued. Sorry about that, because so you can access, synchronize, share. You have versioning on all your files. If someone changes your files, you know what went before. If you change your files, you know what is before. Calendars, again, everything that I mentioned before. For example, it has applications. You know how you have the iTunes and the Google Play, where you can put your own music, and then you can pay to listen to your own music. Well, here you can put your own music and listening it on your mobile devices, and it's streaming directly from your own server. So you have your collection, you are in charge of your collection. It has a ton of documentation. And that's one of the most important things that I look for when I'm looking for a solution. I want to really understand how it works. As we're gonna see, there is another solution that I really like. However, the documentation is so poor that even for basic things, I had to search all over. And even though it's a very nice solution, I'm not sure that I'm gonna go or stay with it. you will see why. But OnCloud has a lot of support, so it's here to stay. So, I think that. Oh, I forgot to say, when you are on, if you want, I'm going to go back, now that I have internet. If you are interested into using your router for that, there's routers that come with everything installed. They come with firmware installed. You just buy it, log it in, follow a little 3-page brochure, and you are ready to start sharing your files, synchronizing your files, using it as a file server internally and as a file server externally, synchronizing with other routers. The configuration is fairly simple, and most of them, they are based on WRT, not surprisingly. When I went to see cloud storage services, when you see the amount of cloud storage services there are, this is just a little sample of what is there. If you start searching, you can really get lost into the number of services that are available. And as I said, there are services for pretty much every case. Some of the services are based in open source and they advertise them like as such. I think that for those that find that important, it's very important. Actually, let me write this down. So, when I was looking at these solutions, I said, but I just need to synchronize my computers in my own network. And I saw Tim's presentation on rsync, and was it you? Someone gave a presentation on rsync. Someone gave a presentation here on rsync. I thought it was.
It seems like something I would talk about. Was that how I remember it was?
I can't remember. But I have to search. Sorry for blaming it on you. And I started playing with rsync. I created my synchronization scripts, but then I found a problem. It's super powerful. It's super efficient for doing most of the things that you ever need to do, except for two-way synchronization. So if you're working on this computer on something, and then you go and work on another computer, and you say, oh, by the way, now synchronize them. It's not as easy. In fact, it's discouraged to try to do that. So when I was trying to find what was a nice way of synchronizing two computers, and this is what started my thought about giving this presentation, I found Unison. Every time that I said, okay, rsync, bidirectional or two-way synchronization, every time I found someone that said, don't try to do it with rsync. That's what they built Unison. But one after another, until I got curious, I installed it, and I found that it was the simplest piece of software that you could use, with a power that was beyond what I was building with my little scripts with rsync, and fairly secure. It gave everything that I was set to do at the beginning. So I was able to synchronize for multiple computers, regardless of in which computer I was working. I didn't have to sync before I started working. I could sync at any point, choosing when to sync. So the first thing that attracted me to Unison was that that was bidirectional. It was a two-way synchronization. It identifies collisions. If you modify a file in one side and the same file in the other side, it tells you, oh, by the way, these files, you modified them at the same time. What do you want to do? Copy here, copy there, or merge them, or ignore it, or you can create backups when you are doing that copy. Because when I was investigating, I said, the downside is that I don't have versioning. So what if I overwrite something that and make a mistake? I've been known for making a few mistakes every now and then, right? And I found that it has a bunch of options to create backups of your files. And again, that's what first attracted me to it. But then I saw that it worked in multiple platforms. In fact, it works on platforms that support SSH. In Windows, of course, it doesn't support SSH that nicely. It's not Unison's fault. I have no idea why Windows is so behind on supporting SSH. But if you install CWing and SSH with CWing, it works well with CWing and SSH. And of course, Linux, Unix, Mac. There is a client for Android. However, you have to use the command line on Android, which is not always the nicest thing. Just typing on the little letters. Now that I'm wearing glasses more and more, I don't find it too attractive. So you will see that I'm combining my methods for synchronization when it comes to mobile. Besides the two-way synchronization, it gives you very fine control. It's not a bulk copy. You can decide what to copy, what not to copy, what to filter out by wildcards or by patterns, what to include, even if it was not included by other parties. You say, oh, wait, not anything that ends with "and" except files that are named "and" or whatever, right? So it gives you a lot of control over that. Of course, to give you that control, it has a lot of options. The nice thing is that I only learned about these options months into using it, which means that for 90% of what I was doing, I really didn't need to know any of these options. If I go down, you will see all the different options that it has. So at first, if you see utility with those options, if you are a techie and a geekie, like many people here, you say, yes, I have a lot of control. And if you are not, you say, okay, when am I going to learn this? The nice thing is that it offers the best of both worlds. The defaults are very sensible defaults, and I can't see without this. The defaults are very sensible defaults. You barely ever need to go into the super advanced unless you have super advanced needs, which is the way that I like my software. Do the easy things easy, the difficult things possible. And I know for many of us, we like command lines, and I like command line when I'm doing repetitive things, but sometimes I just love a nice GUI. And it has one of the simplest GUIs that I've seen for this kind of work. Again, for the complexity of the work that it's doing underneath, the GUI is super simple and nice. And most important, we already talked about the benefits that rsync has. For example, on large files, it doesn't transmit the whole file. It just transmits the sections that actually change and reassembles them on the other side. So for large files, it's very efficient. It's very efficient for some other things. So for those things where rsync shines, Unison doesn't use itself, it calls rsync. So, this is a very big file, so no, I'm not good at this. are saying, can you do it for me? And it does. So you get the best of Unison and the best with of RSync. And of course, when I'm looking at things, I'm trying to look at them balanced. No iOS client, that wasn't a big problem for me until today, because until today I didn't have an iPhone. It was just simulated, but it's for work. Another one is you have to have line of sight between devices, or direct connectivity between devices. As you see, when we were talking about the cloud solutions, I can have this computer that knows where my files are on the cloud. I can have my phone that knows where the files are on the cloud, but my phone doesn't need to know where this computer is. So one computer doesn't need to know where the other computer is. With Unison, you actually need to see that, either by having things on the same computer, or on the same network, or using SSH. So as long as you have an SSH tunnel or to the computer that you want to synchronize, you can synchronize. It offers another method that is a pure TCP/IP port, a TCP port, but that is not recommended. That is for very special things. You just open a port and open Unison here and it talks, but it's an unencrypted channel. So it's very efficient, but I'm not even including it here because I wouldn't use it. And the number of options that you have with that is reduced because they say, why are we putting time here if pretty much nobody uses it? And as I mentioned, it doesn't have versioning, but it has backups. So it's, as long as you know how to manage your backups, you should be okay. And here comes the hands-on part of the presentation. And I have a few examples. Unison works based on profiles. A profile is no more than a description of what is the source, what is the left side computer, what is the right side, or what is the left side device, what is the right side device, and a bunch of options. These options are the options that we saw here. For example, this SSH args is what it uses to connect, and I can add here any other options that I want. So, as you see, for most of my needs, I just need these. The examples that I have here, I have one with a local profile, means it's synchronizing one folder in this computer with another folder on this computer. That's the simplest kind of synchronization that you can do. What do you want to do it? Well, sometimes you have two hard drives or you have a USB device that you want to keep synchronized. And it has two ways of doing it. You either say, actually let me create a new profile. So I'm going to add a profile. I'm going to say it's sorry, I give the profile name and a description, not relevant. Then you say if it's going to be a local, if it's going to be using SSH, RSH, or TCP. Again, most of the time you want to use SSH. It's the one that gives you the most functionality, or local. In this case, I'm going to say local synchronization. The first directory, and I'm going to say, as I said, it's a very natural user interface. I'm going to say, I'm going to synchronize folder 1 with with folder 2. For those that you don't know, I think that most of the people here know, file partitions are funny because they don't keep the same kind of permissions that other file systems do. The timestamps are funny. It has some idiosyncrasies. So it has support for file partitions to take those idiosyncrasies in mind. In mind, for example, that it's not case sensitive, all those things. So in this case, I go not synchronizing with something involving FAT, and I apply. Now, if we look at the folders, actually, let me do this. So I have 3 folders or 3 files on my left-hand folder and no files here. So as soon as I execute this script, it tells me that there's a new file that is going to go from the left side to the right side. I wish I could make things bigger. Let me see. No, I can't. So probably if I change the resolution, it will look better. But it says new file. It has an arrow from left to right, and it's giving me this the hidden files, file 1 and file 2. I can say, oh, remember that I said the fine control that I have. I can say, okay, I want to skip this one, and I want to do the rest. So I just say go, and just like that, my files are on the second folder. If I rescan, I will see that now it's only showing me the hidden file that I omitted. If I change something on this side, and I said changed, and I save, and I rescan, now I see that this file was changed on the folder 2, so it has now a right to left arrow, and I can say skip this one and go. So I say file 2, it changed. The same by deleting files. So again, I go and rescan. Go. It deleted file 2 on this side. It didn't even ask because it assumes that you want to really synchronize.
So I've got a question.
Yes. Good.
How does it know which way? Like, how does it know, oh, I added a file on the left and it syncs to the right, or, oh, I deleted a file from the right, it should sync to the left?
Remember that I said that it is that the interface hides a huge complexity underneath.
So there's a database somewhere, right?
There is a database software that keeps track the first time that you synchronize 2 files. First, you need to have unison on both devices, the devices that you are synchronizing. But you only have to start it in one. When it connects to SSH, it already knows how to start it in the other one and ask it to do things. It has a remote process kicking in here.
Like our sync.
So, similar to that. And it creates a database on each of the sides. And by the way, I was going to get there a little bit later. But it's very interesting because it says, okay, here are the files that I have with this timestamp. This is the files that I have with this timestamp. I share information. now that I shared information, I know how things are. If I delete something here, it knows that it existed before, now it doesn't exist. Probably I deleted it there, it still exists here, probably I have to do something. And that's one of the ways that it does it. But it has room that I said that it has very fine control. You can override that and you can say always choose the newest file, or always choose the left side, or always choose the right side. But yes, it has a database. Now, just so we have a complete answer, if we go to the Unison folder, by the way, I'm showing all my hidden files because I knew that I was going to need it. These are the synchronization files. It has one of these for each profile on each side. In this particular case, it's showing more than one. It's showing all these because my left side and my right side are always in my computer. So that's why it shows twice as many as if I was really synchronizing with another computer. The profile files that I was referring to are very simple files. There's no mystery. So when you are configuring, you can either configure it manually or through a user interface. If we go here, and let's say view references, font. Can you see what there? A comment, then the description, and then one root and the other root. That's it. And this is for the simplest one. Had I added more commands or more preferences, it would be listed here. One interesting thing is that, let's say that I want things under the Unison, but I only want some paths. I can actually specify the paths that I want to move from left to right. We're going to get there. And the rest of the files are binary. Do not delete those files. If you delete those files, well, then you have to start over. It has to do the resynchronization. The first time that it does the synchronization, it takes some time, especially for large sets. Subsequent times is way faster. If you delete one of these files, one of the principles of Unison is avoid corruption. So if it is 100% sure of something, then it says I can't. You have to do something manually. So if I delete one of these files, it's going to say, oh yeah, I think that you screwed up. You deleted one of the file on the left. So you have to delete the same file on the right, just to ensure that I start over and I don't get confused. So most people don't have a need to delete these files. I've had the need to delete these files, so I could check what happened if I deleted one of those files, and nothing bad happened.
So how much data is in that directory?
Let me see. 9 megs. No.
And that's how long were you?
Actually, this is a very simple sample. Although one of these should be fairly large because I synchronize my data folder on the desktop with this. So I can tell you. Again, it's not super big, but it's in the gigabytes. I don't know how they do it, but again, it's very efficient. You don't even notice that the files are there. I have 18 gigs that I synchronize, and I can tell you that every time that I synchronize, of course, I don't modify 18 gigabytes of files. I modify probably 10, 20 files every time that I synchronize. It takes about the whole process from the time that I click on Unison and set go, probably 2 seconds, and I have everything synchronized.
So that directly is from some real world usage of or something?
Yes, yes. This was my real case usage because this is where I have all my claims, consulting, accounting, documents, pictures, presentations, things that I've done with copy. So this is my real work, normal working directory. And again, it takes seconds. And it takes seconds over SSH.
Do you come across any restrictions on file names, like characters that you cannot use?
I haven't been synchronizing with FAT yet. I'm pretty sure that if I was synchronizing with FAT, I would. But no, I haven't seen anything. I'm synchronizing Linux to Linux. But I haven't read anything from everything that I've been investigating that says that there can be a problem. I know that some operating systems may accept certain special characters like the $sign that is frowned upon on another one, and I've seen those problems just copying files.
So the reason I asked is because within own cloud, I ran into problems with having a colon in the file, like it would not synchronize across.
Yes. No, I haven't seen that, but it's a good thing to investigate.
And never have a directory on a Windows machine that ends in a period. Windows will not be able to remove the period and not be able to delete the file.
Oh, I've seen that. But there are several other cases where I created in Windows a file that I can't remove later just because of the name. But that's topic for a different conversation. No, but that is a very good point. I haven't done it.
So we go back to